Hey guys, welcome back to another Gaming Memories video. Here we are taking a look at a game called 04 Champ Doozy, a drag racing game that was released in Japan on the PlayStation back in 1997. Now there is not much known really too much about this game in terms of information from what I've been able to try and gather from looking for information about it online. It didn't get great reviews, and one of the main gripes with the game was due to the fact that yes, the game had a lot of really cool Japanese style cars that were really popular back in that era, but the game only used the likes of 2D graphics or 2D sprites for the actual cars instead of using 3D graphics, and that was a big kind of issue with the game. A lot of people weren't too fond of that, but the one thing it did get good compliments on was the customization options, because depending on how you customize and set your car up will make the difference between whether you're actually able to win a race or not. But then it also goes down to the likes of your skills as well, how quickly you can change gears when you're moving and so forth. Now, I didn't really even know that this game even existed. I just was looking for games to play, and I wanted to try and look for other kind of racing games. I have mentioned it in previous videos where I am currently looking to play as many games as possible, so I am trying to do as much research as I can to try and find other type of games, and I happened to stumble across this one. Now I will be honest, when I first actually played it, again because it's a Japanese game, there is a language barrier and it can be difficult to try and understand really what's going on and some of the options and how to figure things out. I managed to it took a while, but I couldn't get the car to really when I was racing, to try and even move. I had it set up in manual gears, but for some reason I couldn't get the control system set up correctly, so I had to set it to like semi-automatic, and then I managed to be able to set it up in a way that I could actually get the car to move and go into gear properly, and then I could just change the gears as I'm going along. And that seemed to be the only way that I could actually get it to work. Now, it may be a case where I was probably doing something wrong. If any of you have actually played this, be sure to let me know down in the comments how the gear system works in it, because it definitely was driving me a little bit crazy trying to figure it out. I eventually did get there. So I had to play around, and what I done was I just decided to try and work with all the different cars. I just tried a couple of different races with all the types of cars, again because this here game does have some of the best type of cars that were released in Japan in the 90s. You see there, you have like the Toyota Celica, you have the Toyota Supra, the Subaru Impreza, the Mitsubishi Lancer Evo 4, and loads of other cars, Toyota MR2, and even here a Nissan Silvia 200 SX or S14 Silvia. So there was definitely a lot of really cool cars in the game. That's the one thing that kind of appealed to me. So it's kind of like when I was playing it, like what ones will I actually pick? And straight away I went for my favourites, the likes of the Impreza, the likes of the Lancer, the Evo 4, and I eventually did go on to the likes of the Nissan Skyline, the R33 Skyline, GTR, and then I tried later on, you'll see it towards the end of the video, with Mitsubishi GTO as well. So they are pretty much some of my all-time favourite types of cars. And I always find that when I actually do go to play any of these type of games, and if those cars are actually in them, I always find myself always wanting to try them out, just to see what they're like. Because again, they're just, some of them are some of my all-time dream cars. And to be honest, it's probably the only chance you'll ever get to actually be able to ever actually get the chance to use them. So literally in game. So I says, right, I'll give it a go. It definitely takes a bit of getting used to, I'm not going to deny that, but the control system, when you get everything set up, it does actually work. The races don't last too long. They literally last about 10-15 seconds per race, maybe even less depending on the speed of the car. Again, you do have different customization options. I was still trying to figure that out. As you can see here on the screen, I had to keep switching over to like the semi-automatic gears for going into the race, so that at least I knew I had a chance to actually try and win a race. But you can upgrade parts as you go through the races. The more races that you do win, you can upgrade and actually make your car a lot faster. You can add in new turbos and new engine parts and different types of pieces that will give you an advantage. But again, as you go further into the likes of the game, not only will you have the ability to upgrade your car, but also the computer AI, the cars that you're racing against will also increase in difficulty as well. So it'll still be harder to actually win the game. Now, if I haven't actually played it, and I actually did sit down and play it for a good while, it's actually not a bad game. It is fairly, graphically it's simplistic. It's more like kind of like an old school type of, older console type game. Even at that, it kind of would remind you of something what you would see kind of like on mobile devices even today. It's a very similar aesthetic. There's a lot of drag racing games that I have played like on likes of mobile devices that actually use these style of graphics. So it kind of is reflective of that. But I would have liked to have actually seen probably the graphics in 3D, but then there are a couple of other games that I actually have played that use likes of 3D models and stuff like that with the graphics. I actually have done a couple of videos on a couple of previous games. I'll make sure to drop links down in the description. Again, aesthetically they're very different, but again they're just drag racing games, so they essentially are kind of the same in some way or shape or form. They just look different, that's all. But drag racing games, there's not really much to them. It's just really just you're focusing on the setup of the car, and then it's all really down to your own skill set. And after that, you're literally just trying to time your button presses so that you can change the gears at the right time so that you can actually get ahead of your opponent and just keep going until you win. But all in all, not the greatest game in the world, but it's worth it for a bit of fun. And again, a lot of these type of games here outside of Japan, most of us would never have even known they existed or even ever have heard of them. So it is really interesting to actually get the chance to actually play these games just to see what they're actually like. Because again, like the PlayStation is home to so many hidden gems, and whether games are not so good or they're really good, they had loads of games that were literally appeal to everybody. And there is a lot of games that like a lot of us like myself that have never actually played. So I'm actually getting the chance to play them now. So that's why I'm making these videos. So it's an opportunity to share those experiences with everyone, see if you've actually seen them yourself and see what you think of them, or even if you haven't played them, at least now that you know that they exist. So hopefully by sharing these videos it'll allow you to see that. So I'd love to know your thoughts on this game, whether you've actually played it or not. If you have, be sure to share your thoughts down in the comments below. So if you have enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like. Also be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon to be updated whenever I release future content, and also feel free to share the video, as I am going to be exploring a lot more of these quirky style games that were on the PlayStation that came out in Japan, and I'm going to share my thoughts and experiences with everyone. So as always, make sure to keep playing those classic games and enjoying them, and keep those gaming memories alive.